Well, good morning, Unity of the Keys. Thank you so much for having me back. It is wonderful to be here. And this platform of Zoom is totally amazing. I am in my home in Venice, and just seeing you and the audience there is wonderful. So I wanted to start obviously with gratitude. So it's a really amazing practice. It'll impact your life in every single way. So before we even start today in today's talk, I would invite you to just go to your heart in this now moment, breathe in, and then exhale, allow your shoulders to drop and just get comfortable wherever your holy body resides right now, right here, right now. And know that we are totally connected in every way through our heart, through our energetic cycles, through our consciousness. And so for that, bring something in mind right now, bring something to your heart that you are totally grateful for, right here, right now. Just give thanks for that in your heart space. For those of us who are feely, go ahead and feel that out. Feel gratitude in your heart and let that burst out from your being so that we are all connected in this space. And so today's talk is titled On the Road to Becoming, dot, dot, dot. There's an ellipses on that. And I already know that some of us are looking at that title going, what is the ellipses all about? What am I becoming? And my answer to that is that we are always on our road to becoming, right? We're in process. We are spiritual beings having a human experience in process of remembering the truth of our being. So I'm gonna preface this talk in that context. And so Paulo Coelho says, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And I believe that life is always, always conspiring for us, for our greater good, guiding us towards growth, towards expansion, towards the realization of our highest potential. We're here to play the game of life. And it is, like I always say, this is a sandbox where it doesn't matter from which walk of life we've come. We are here in the sandbox and we get to play it out. And so, this idea of realizing and life conspiring for our highest, greatest potential, it's an idea of understanding that the universe operates with a deep, interconnected intelligence that moves us through all of our experiences, both joyful and challenging. And it's meant really to awaken us to our true nature and purpose. That's the truth of our beings, spiritual beings, right? So if you step back and say, okay, well, Reverend, what is the evidence for this? Well, think about the concept of synchronicity. Now, some of us think of it as coincidences or divine appointments, right? But synchronicities happen all the time. And a really great example is when you're thinking of someone and the phone actually rings and it's that person, or they're thinking of you and you didn't know this. You pick up the phone and you call them. That's a really blatant example. And some of us have experienced this in one way or another. So another evidence of this life that is conspiring for us is that we all grow through our challenges, right? Like you've heard of the saying that says, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Well, I would venture to say that, our biggest challenges show us exactly what we're made of, that we have this immense well of hidden strength and deep insights. So as right now, I'm going to pause and ask you to go through your life experience, and we could do this in a heartbeat, just like that. Think about the most challenging time in your life that you just thought it was the most devastating thing for you. And then think about when you have completed that experience, you essentially have become a newer, more capable, more impactful version of yourself. You've, in some ways, kind of garnished your power and have owned the experience such that your consciousness has grown and you've become a stronger person. So that's an example of growth through challenges. There's also the power of intuition. Intuition is like a compass that guides us toward our relationships, our opportunities that align to our higher selves and our soul's purpose. And they say, intuition could be associated with your gut. So when we listen to our gut, we're really listening to that inner guidance, right? And the other thing is that it is in nature's divine design because we as human beings are part of this natural world. And we want to look at nature as life's supportive intelligence. You look at the trees, they grow, flowers, they bloom, there's seasons, and there's balance of the ecosystem. We are part and parcel to that. So we are meant to grow and grow and grow towards the sunlight, right? There's this resilience in our human spirit that drives us, that in one way pushes us forward despite the adversity that we experience. And the fact is, we always come out stronger after adversity shows us, because it's a great teacher that life truly, regardless of what the situation is, what the circumstance is, conspires to grow, to help us grow to our highest, greatest potential. And, you might be sitting there saying, well, that's all well and good. And also, life gets lifey, right? Invariably, we get disoriented and then we lose our spiritual center. So I think that I can speak for everyone here, and for those who are not physically here either, that is really the truth. Like we we go through things in life, and we lose our spiritual center. So I actually sat down and go, okay, well, what are those things? Maybe a loss of a loved one, a relationship change, maybe a divorce or a breakdown of some sort. Maybe some of us have experienced injury or illness. Some of us are sitting with us listening to this right now that may be feeling this way. Those are some of the major changes in life, right? And then there are some of us who are going through minor changes that we don't think that we're going through change, but we are. So one of them happens to be maybe just daily stress. Daily stress. I mean, you go drive somewhere in traffic, there you go. There's that daily stress that you can very easily kind of get unbalanced and lose your spiritual center. Could be your email. It could be your screen, social media, relationship conflicts, your neighbor. One really insidious way of losing your spiritual center is the lack of self-care. Lack of self-care. I know self-care is always a practice, and it gets to be kind of it's insidious because it's so quiet, right? It's easy to say, I don't need to sleep that extra hour, or I don't need to go take care of this, that, and the other for myself. But it's really, really important, because if we don't include rest and reflection in our practice of caring for ourselves, we gradually weaken our spiritual foundation. And when we're off kilter, when we're off balance, and we're not spiritually centered, we're not there for anybody else. And most of all, we're not there for ourselves. So, all right, let's see. I'm flipping through my notes because I know we only have a few minutes together. And I've been with you guys so blessedly, and you know that I write my talks and it's always God sponsored. And so I have a lot of information here, and I'm feeling the presence in front of me, letting me know what needs to be shared today. So, all right, so I'm going to go to what my conviction is. And you have experienced me before. Those of us who have been in community before knows that my conviction is always about consciousness, which was really great because I think what we affirmed at the very beginning, I think the word was open-minded, that we are open-minded, or to be open-minded to the upward spiral of our human consciousness. To me, that's an affirmation, like, okay, Spirit, I'm on the right track because I'm listening to my intuition as well, right? There's a dynamic in this relationship of me, myself, and I, and the spirit that calls me forward. So my conviction is that life meets us at our level of consciousness, and that to the extent that we are conscious, that we are alive, alert, and awake to what's happening in, through, and as us, is the extent that we'll have the power and the authority to change our life with grace and ease. I'm going to say that again. To the extent of our level of consciousness, our awakening to what is present before us, is the extent that we have the power and the authority to change our life, to take our power, to own our responsibility, and then to manifest change. Change your life with grace, with ease, not with struggle, not with strife, with grace, with ease. So shifting from your current circumstances, the reality of whatever you're going through, because we're human, we all go through stuff. If you're not going through stuff right now, awesome. Give it 10 minutes because things will shift, and then you get to look at this, right? You shift your current circumstances, knowing that at any given moment, you have exactly what it takes to manifest the desire of your heart. And this practice of ours of shifting into consciousness, we can't think our way through. It can't be a spectator sport. We've got to jump in and participate and experience the dynamic of it. It's almost like we're all on this, what is that? When you're on an airplane and you're flying and you're going to go jump out of the airplane with a parachute, we're all on this track of doing it in order to experience what it's like to fall out of an airplane and be caught by this parachute. We've got to be willing to jump. We can't be in the airplane and look at the view and think about it. And, we can learn about how to pull the parachute out, right? But we've got to jump at the end of the day. We've got to be in the experience of life and in the ring so that we could learn from it. It's a dynamic. So that's step number one. Many of us know that the concepts to shift and manifest are our reality, from our reality to our truth, right? So the question is, these concepts, what it takes. The question then is, are you practicing the concepts? Because again, you can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. So you can't give others the ability to be spiritually grounded and centered from a place of knowing that is God-sponsored if you are not practicing that on a day-to-day basis. Because when you're practicing, you become better and better and better and better, such that you start viewing your experiences of whatever comes to you is really serving you to be better, not just for other people, but for yourself. Not just for yourself, but to serve the world. Because at the end of the day, you can't give what you don't have. You can't give to others, and you certainly can't give to yourself. So Myrtle says that there's a power and a presence within you that is greater than any condition you face. And so if you harness that one saying, that quote, and you really embody that, there's nothing you can't do. So I want to share with you right now, and I'm going to talk fast because we only have a few minutes, the 4 levels of consciousness from Michael Beckwith. There's 4 levels. Those of us who have a pen and paper in hand, you might want to take some notes because this is really amazing information. This is from Michael Beckwith, who's with the Agape Center in LA. Okay, so the first level of consciousness is the victim consciousness. This level is characterized by feeling powerless, blaming external circumstances for life challenges, and the inability to see, or maybe it's not simply the inability, but the unwillingness to see how your personal actions affect your outcomes. So growth here focuses on moving from victimhood to self-responsibility. So things that a person who might be in victim consciousness would be saying is the following. I never get out of debt because the economy is so bad. Another thing they might be saying is, if you're a business owner, right? Other businesses, other startups have so much more money, they have more resources than I do. And I find it really impossible to compete with all that. So that they are a victim of their situation or circumstance. That's level one. Level two is the manifestor consciousness. And at this level, individuals start recognizing that their thoughts, their beliefs, and their actions create their reality. They begin to take personal responsibility and to work consciously toward creating desired outcomes. So, an empowered action phrase that a person at this level of consciousness, manifestor level, would say is, I can increase my revenue by attracting new clients, right? Or if you are running a business, I may not have a lot of capital, but I can find creative ways to grow my business. So, the phrases that I'm saying, obviously we have so much time. Take the phrases and see if you could um, give yourself an example of what someone might be saying, or try to locate yourself in terms of how you say things to yourself or to others in this regard. So level one is I never get out of debt because the economy is so bad. A person in level two might say, I may be able to do something about this. I can increase my profit, my revenue by going out and getting new clients. So that's level two. Level three consciousness has to do with channel consciousness. Now, at this stage, individuals shift from their personal effort of trusting the flow of life and understanding to, let me say that again. Individuals shift from their personal effort to trusting the flow of life and understanding that they are co-creators of the universe. A lot of us understand what that means to co-create with God, co-create with the divine. And then they begin to channel their desires through deeper intuition and spiritual connection. So as you're beginning to trust in the natural flow of life, you would say things like, opportunities are flowing to me and I am ready to receive them. Or you might say, hey, I am truly aligned. My heart, my energy, my mind, the things that I do is aligned with my purpose. And everything that I need will come to me at this time. So that's level three consciousness. You surrender and you go with the flow. Level four consciousness is being consciousness. So we move from human doing to human being. And in this level of consciousness, it's characterized by a deep, abiding presence in the moment of presence, and the state of unity with all things. There really is no need to manifest something because life simply unfolds in perfect harmony. You're in sync. You operate from a pure state of being. So that's level four consciousness. And here's the caveat to these level of consciousness, right? So I'm giving you the context, the information to move, basically the four different levels of consciousness. Here's the caveat, okay, so before I even ask you that question, have you identified which level of consciousness you're at? 1, 2, 3, and 4? Because if you haven't, try to identify in your own mind. You don't have to say it aloud because it might be personal. So locate yourself and think about what level of consciousness you might be in. So here's the caveat. Whichever level you identify with, it's always one beneath that. It's always one beneath that. And so the other caveat is, as human beings, we move through different levels of consciousness. It's like the stock market, up and down, up and down, up and down. And what we want to do is, when we're up, that's great. We realize that. And then when we're down, when maybe we carry a lower consciousness for whatever the reason is, we're energetic beings. We go through life. We're human beings. And we just know that that's okay too. The thing that you want to do is to really be present to which level of consciousness you're at. How are you saying what you're saying, what are the thoughts that you're holding in mind? And as we're, for the Fillmorians around us, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So you just want to be hyper vigilant and maybe develop a practice of how you might be aware of what you're saying and not minimize it, but really be present. Say, "Ha, that's interesting. I feel like I can come in here with really high consciousness about this thing, but with this, I could use some improvement. I could use some help." So, shifting is important. So I have a handout here in my office. If you want the handout of how to shift from one level of consciousness to another, simply email me, evelynforeman@gmail.com. Type a quick note to say, "Hey, I want that level of consciousness workout or the PDF that you were talking about during our talk today, and I'll be more than happy to send it to you." So it's level of consciousness PDF is what it is. All right. So with that, there are some things you don't want to do when you're working with consciousness. So one thing to keep in mind, some mistakes that people make that won't move them from one level of consciousness to another is bypassing of any kind when you just don't want to do the work. Spiritual bypassing, emotional bypassing, not being willing to look at really what the issue is, because a lot of times when we're spiritually off center, we are sort of in the thick of it, right? We're in the moment. So we experience it. Bypassing would be like, "Oh, I'm not in the thick of it at all." You're just denying it altogether. And when we're not present to what is, and we're pretending that it's not there, or we're pretending that we don't know, we basically avoid growth. We become the teenager onto ourselves, right? We find reasons to not do the work. So another mistake would be to lone wolf your spiritual growth. Lone wolfing is a term to say, "Hey, I got it. I want to do this myself. This is very personal to me. It's my own spiritual journey. And I got it all taken care of." And so, yes, our spiritual journey is very important to us. It's very personal. Obviously, I know that. But we're better in community. And plus, we're not alone. I mean, we have each other in community. We get to talk to each other here. But more importantly, you got to remember you're not alone, because spirit is always there. Spirit is always there. And it's that practice of prayer and meditation and prayer and meditation that avoids that whole practice of lone wolfing and thinking that you're alone in this world. The next thing about something that you don't want to do is you don't want to approach whatever breakdown you're having through spiritual arrogance. I talked about being a teenager onto ourselves. Like, we want to make sure that we have a beginner's mind in everything that we do. Instead of going, "Oh yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that." So great. If you know it, go practice it. And if you don't know it, read it again. Or maybe you do know it. Read it again. See if you can approach the spiritual reading or the book or the concept with a beginner's mind. Because when we're open, when our heart is open, we begin to spiral up in our human consciousness, human awareness. And um, so basically, those are the mistakes that you don't want to do. And so I am going to end today basically giving thanks for all the infinite wisdom in every moment that is divinely guiding us. And so as we face our challenges, as we face our uncertainties, I'm going to trust that all things are conspiring for our greatest good, and that regardless of whatever we're going through, whether it's a health challenge at the moment, whether it's a financial challenge or a relationship change, that underneath that, in your heart and your prayer energy, that all of it, absolutely all of it, is conspiring for your greater good. And so it is. Amen.